Just past this torch of friendship, we're going to sail by the Hilton Palacio del Rio Hotel to the left of our boat. Spanish Foreign Palace on the river, one of a few hotels that has been built in the downtown of San Antonio over the years. This one in particular was built from 1967 to 68 at a record-breaking 202 working days using a very unique building method back then. If you look above the fourth floor here, each of these rooms look like boxes. That's because each of these rooms here were built on assembly line fashion, 8 miles south ahead of us. At the same time, the first 4 floors and the elevator shafts were built up here. They then drove each of these rooms up here on flatbed trucks, filled them up with furniture and accessories, and stacked each one on top like Lego blocks using a giant crane. The reason they built this Hilton like that was because they built it for the World's Fair in '68. In fact, they were in such a hurry to have this Hilton completed and open before the World's Fair began that many of the first guests to arrive here at the Hilton were even given the option of riding their room up to the very top. They were being lifted up by that giant crane. This Hilton here was built right next door to La Vita on this hilltop up ahead of us. One of the first ever settlements in all of San Antonio. Settled up here in 1722 as a neighborhood for families of Spanish soldiers, who themselves were stationed out of the first mission founded down here, San Antonio de Valero, now known as the Alamo. La Vita up here became a regular neighborhood over the years, but fell under hard times by the early 20th century, till it was restored up here in 1939. Since then, La Vita up here has become home to many shops, galleries, boutiques, and restaurants up here during the day, as well as the Arneson River Theater around this one turn right here. Very popular outdoor river theater right here. It's had many different shows and events take place here throughout the years. It has even been featured in a movie they filmed up here at this theater for the swimsuit scene of the original Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock. In fact, go back and watch that movie. You can even see one of these tour boats sailing right through this theater in the middle of the scene. And Sandra Bullock was standing just on the stage to the right of our boat. If you go back and watch that movie, just behind Sandra Bullock, above the stage, you'll even see these 5 bronze bells up here, which themselves were all originally put up here to honor the 5 Spanish missions that were founded down here, including San Antonio de Valero, which was originally founded in 1718, San Jose, founded 2 years later in 1720, and San Juan, Concepcion, and Espada, all founded 11 years later in 1731. Now, just past the Arneson River Theater, coming up to the right of our boat here, we're going to sail by a sculpture up here which depicts an old cattle driver that used to come through town in the mid-1800s, back when San Antonio was a big cattle and ranching town before the arrival of the railroad in 1877. And this sculpture sits right in front of the Briscoe Western Art Museum, itself having been founded in 2013, named in honor of Dolph Briscoe Jr., former governor of Texas, whom himself had an extensive collection of wild Western art and memorabilia. It's all collected on the inside of this museum to this day, including Santa Anna's ceremonial dagger, one of Pancho Villa's old saddles, diorama, the Battle of the Alamo, and also a neat little recorded live interview with the architect Ted Kelsey, who designed that sculpture behind us. Just past the Briscoe Western Art Museum, we'll sail underneath Presser Street Bridge, and as we set out from underneath Presser Street Bridge, on the other side, we'll sail by Masonet's Table to the right of our boat here. This diamond-shaped iron sculpture right here was placed here in 1991 to honor the 300th anniversary of that first Catholic Mass that occurred along this river. Which once again was on June 13th, 1691, by the missionary Damien Masonet, hence Masonet's Table, which sits right on top of Marriage Island here, this little outcropping of land here, again off to the right side of our boat, sticking out in front of the Hotel Contessa, known as Marriage Island right here, because it is in fact the most popular place along the Riverwalk for getting married at, hence Marriage Island. Just past Marriage Island, we're going to sail underneath the old mill crossing ahead of us, so named because of the old Nat Lewis Mill that was founded here in 1845, which used to grind grain for many of the citizens in the mid to late 1800s. Thus marks were ahead of us the last major crossing along the river, 4-horse-drawn carriages for the arrival of the automobile in San Antonio. Marks, we will sail by the Westin Hotel to the right of our boat here itself, the last major hotel to ever open along the Riverwalk in the last century. Opened in November of 1999, just across the river from the Tower Life building, way up to the left of our boat in the sky right here. This very popular fixture, the San Antonio skyline right here that's lit up this evening, itself opened to the public on June 1st, 1929, is the Smith & Young Tower, named after its original owners, the Smith brothers, and their lawyer, J.W. Young, who wanted to build this big, huge complex of buildings on this whole area of land to our left, which they planned would be similar to New York City's Rockefeller Center. They were going to call that project Bowen's Island Skyscrapers, with the Smith & Young Tower here as the centerpiece. Unfortunately, once again this building opened to the public on June 1st, 1929. Stock market crashed just a few months later. Smith & Young went bankrupt, had to sell this property, and eventually it switched hands over the years, and since then it's become home up here to the Tower Life Insurance Company, hence the Tower Life building. Well, briefly, it was headquarters here for the U.S. Army during World War II, with General Dwight D. Eisenhower was stationed on the 7th floor and received a phone call about Pearl Harbor being attacked. Just past the Tower Life building, we're going to be sailing by the International Center to the right of our boat up here. This big green building here, which used to be home to the San Antonio Public Library from 1968 until 1998, and then became home to the offices of the North American Development Bank, as well as the old marina underneath. One of two marinas where my company and the city dock our boats during the evenings, which has the Bear County Courthouse just past it up ahead of us. This big red building here that was founded up here over a century ago in 1896, and thus is considered the oldest continuously operating courthouse in all of Texas. It's going to mark where we'll be exiting Floodgate 4 right here, which just as we approach this green light in front of our boat, you look to the side of the boat up here, you'll see these metal walls. These mark where there is a drawbridge in the water that comes up along with the rest of this flood channel out here during heavy rains and major flooding, so as to make sure the water levels behind us within the main Hoshibin area of the Riverwalk remain the same at all times. As we enter into this flood channel, it has Floodgate 5, 200 yards to the left of our boat, the top of a waterfall down there, which has the new marina off to the right side of it. That waterfall down there is about 15 feet deep, with the Riverwalk continuing on down past that waterfall, alongside the backs of the homes of the King Williams district. Lovely old German neighborhood down there that's very popular. You take a nice leisurely stroll through during the day.